We're talking about images, we're talking about capturing images, we're talking about sensory logics of human being getting transformed into something. So what's that? Why we are trying to connect ourselves to each other? Is it necessary? The basic element is what is self, what is individual, and the other aspects or other individuals in society. There are a lot of systems, either the physical systems, cultural systems, or other kinds of institutional structures which we created with. But when we came to a certain context, like when we talk about this, that we call as screen, all of us are connected to screen language. Directly, indirectly, consciously, unconsciously, we are connected to screen. Screen is a flat surface on a two-dimensional surface. Some images either created, imprinted, recorded, come on it, and then we start shuffling and throwing and absolutely opening. So the whole dynamics of concept of space and time has completely altered. Otherwise, I am looking at you and you are looking at me. But you looking at me on the screen or you looking at me on the small screen is very different. So the context, what we call today, is still more interesting, called reality. And especially there is, as a senior professor was telling us in the morning, why do we have two parts of brains? Why? Why they should be connected? If they are separated, what will happen? Suppose one part of brain is one human being, another part of brain is another human being. Will we still remain human beings? So what is to be human? Why we are human? Like from Homo sapiens, Homo erectus to whatever it is. And this is what is making me think. As I had a chance, I was thinking of going, as you were young people at the time. My one foot was about to go to IIT, another foot was going to medicine. I rejected both and I went to Film Institute. What is that? Why human beings create? That is the issue. That is the issue. And is creativity connected to reality? Is creativity connected to some kind of, what kind of a creativity? The physical, sensory, whatever, the material, philosophical, spiritual logics of being human. That is what we are trying to understand. And at this juncture, as you were watching that, this question came to my mind, which came to my mind because of this, is images are going to be bombarded on us. Somebody is going to control those images, somebody is going to create those images, somebody is going to manufacture those images, and then we are going to call ourselves a self. Then where is self? Which is that self? One is a biological self. But that context of identity of self and intuition and other kind of a context of references, there I started feeling, so there are various theories, various philosophies talking about this is over, this is dead, this is gone, post, that, etc. But why do we create? And why do we create with images? Yes, with sounds also. So image, sound and other kind of creativities, yes, but we create with so many other senses also. Like somebody prepares a food for us and you taste it. Yeah, you get different kinds of tastes, smells and the other aspects of body. Now why we are human? Because we try to make something out of it. Not just to touch the reality, to cross those boundaries or barriers or zones or the spheres or the horizons. And that is why when we are talking about the machine-mind relationship, my whole concern is machine-mind-image relationship. What I mean by image, a sound and image together. Because when we talk about cinema as an audio-visual, spatio-temporal, structural logics, because you are present where you are not. Then how do you know that you are present? You are in somebody's room or a bedroom or a bathroom, but she is thinking as a person there, and you are not there, and you are there. Suppose somebody is kissing, somebody is holding somebody, and you are here in between. Yeah, it's a very problematic context. You don't realize it. You watch it on a big screen. I always say that's a close shot or extreme close shot of. Now the physicality of the close shot of the lips is 15 feet of a heroine, very sensual, doing this. 15 feet lips. Okay, what will be your romantic concept? Yeah, images dominate. Images control, images manipulate, and images have become power. Then who controls that power? Machines. Or the machine manufactured context of concepts. Are we trying to be machines? Why? Long time back when I was teaching, there was a couple of years back, and one of my students, she later on settled in some place, and she rang me up late at night and said, sir, problem, this is a problem. I said, what? You're calling me at 2:30 at night? She said, my child is so small, and she was asked to draw the figures. And draw your father, draw your mother or something. A typical tiny tot drawing something. She drew mother according to her things, a hair or some kind of a dress or some kind of typical, as you see the tribal art, kind of a stick figures and some funny things. And she drew her father as a mobile phone. It's a problem. It's a problem. Father, as she physically drew mobile phone as father. What's happening? So, what is happening is that machine human being context of references, when we get extended by the machines, do we remain human? Or the machines are going in? So we don't know that. Now there is a context called, in the philosophy, the Purusha, Prakriti, or other kind of a thing, and Dvaita and Advaita. And then we go to yin, yang, and context. Even today, we are not yet learned how women see in civilizations. This camera and the gadgets are telling us how to look at women. And that's been bombarded by so many cultural references. So sometimes it's been said, I feel like saying that the camera is a phallocentric machine. And it's been told that women are to be looked at and men will always be looking at them. Yeah, minds and machines. Minds, machines, and images. How are I going to handle them? How are I going to talk about it? Because as we are extending what we call intelligence, what we call emotions, if I was having a reference to some film in which if I can put a small microchip in your brain and I control, and you get angry, you get out on the bus and somebody says, yeah, you get angry. So can I control your neurons by the images, electrodes? So this is how that logic of self being, so that individual is getting isolated, fragmented, withered out, and therefore we are afraid of each other by images. Or either putting those layers of images to hide self as images. So where are we? The image is not only the outer context, is also inner context of references. You may not see something, but somebody has touched you. Is it an image? Is it a feeling? It's a sound. It is probably a concept called memory. Is memory an image? Or is image a memory? Sound is a memory? Now, when we are playing with image, sound, and therefore I call it audio, visual, spatio-temporal, because it fractured, it opened it, and we started feeling that we can control it. Therefore, you were not seeing that, you were seeing that, which was seen by somebody else, which you were seeing that. You were never present. You were not even born. Then how do you see? How do you see? Is seeing a physicality? Why the human brain has become like that? A perception of reality, and then we go into the cyber, then we go into the context of complexities or something. Now I'm trying to think, are we in the threshold of mutation? Are we mutants, machine, part humans? So we started calling cybernetic organ. You use the word very casually called android. What is androgynous? Now, all of us are very well-educated people. You're trying to look at human beings. Most of the time when we think about human beings, we think about the technology and the gadget-oriented machines, the apparatus which is going to tell us what and how it is. If that apparatus and gadget is going to tell, then where I am. And there was a very interesting kind of a phenomena which we're discussing in a play, where if I am going to hold my child when he or she is injured, I'm seeing the bleeding, and I'm very restless about it. If I remove that piece of visual information from your memory, where you'll be? I may take a photograph and print it, and millions of people may see it and they will cry. But it's removed. So images made us, sounds made us, and those kinds of complexities of structuring and fragmenting and destroying or creating, then we'll have a responsibility. If we are going to mutate or probably cross over, and if the machines are going to take over, and the machine does not, I mean only the, because many times science, technology is only the futuristic concepts. Social, emotional, psychological. Other futuristic sciences we don't ever use. Future means this gadget will make me this gadget will make me that. Who will be me? And that self-journey. And therefore we were, and I'm coming to this logics, that we grew up sometime. We wanted to know something, quote unquote. We are not information. We are not digits. We have converted ourselves into 0 and 1. And there are millions and zillions of possibilities between 0 and 1. When I listen to Kishori Amonkar, you can see those, you can sense those, and you can keep that. You can get it recorded, put it as your mobile or something, or you can put it into ear. But I was present when Bhimsen Joshi was sitting. And he came and he sat there. And Bhimsen Joshi, Tanpuras are on, and everything is on. And when it was going on, he didn't sing a word. 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes. And then when he said, oh, that was something different than a recorded Bhimsen Joshi. So being there, being human is essential. And this is where we started removing the self and the machine context rather and isolating and extending. We started. And therefore, either we are herbivorous, either carnivorous or selfivorous. We are eating up ourself with self. We are going beyond that. We started. So we want information, we want everything. We started consuming. Where will we land up? Why we want to? Everything here is a sensory logic of either consuming or buying. Don't do that. Everything is not meant to be converted into the transactions. I remember one of my friends who took his child for some of those high-paid tuition classes. And we were walking down because he wanted him to go to either engineering or medical, and heavy tuition fees for the tuition classes. The son was coming down and we were walking down. He said, now I have paid fees. You have to study hard. And then the son said immediately, Dad, you have to take a risk. It's your investment. We are creating human beings. Of what kind? What logics? And when we are selfivorous, then probably it is the time. So as we go on extinct, we may be extinct. Probably there will be new form will be generating. Probably machines with feelings. Machines, and then probably from Homo sapiens to Homo erectus to Homo machinist. Probably there will be new context of references of perception of the world, space, time, and creating an art But is art necessary? Is art a part of something which is not exactly the real? Which is not meant to be copied, which is not meant to be immediately multiplied, because I send somebody some photograph and somebody says this and somebody says that and somebody keeps on doing that. Somebody was talking about psychology today. All of us talking to self look very interesting these days. All of us doing that looks very interesting. We have internalized those. I don't know. There was a very interesting phenomenon of a very great filmmaker, Akira Kurosawa. He made a film called Throne of Blood on Macbeth. And he interpreted it differently. And one of the very important person from Britain asked him, oh, your interpretation of Shakespeare was this great at everything. And he said that, I never realized that you can interpret Shakespeare in that way. Kurosawa was a little bit uneasy. He said, that's not your monopoly, Shakespeare. Shakespeare is part of the whole world, universe. And he showed that Macbeth, Lady Macbeth is pregnant. That was a hint Kurosawa interpreted probably with. And that British guy said, what kind of a monstrous child it will be. How Shakespeare sees it, how Oedipus saw it, and somebody made it. So when we are creating, when we are having machines, when we are doing all that, we'll have to be very, very interestingly aware that machine, mind, and images, and some bigger systems controlling the mind machines, and they will be programming, and they will be saying that this is good, this is you must like, or this is what you mean by like. Yeah, we are in a very different age and phase. I don't know whether I've been able to communicate to you, because I'm human, and I wish to remain that. Thank you.